Gaslighting is a word everyone uses, but few people actually understand the damage it does until they're already drowning in it. It's a quiet, subtle rewriting of your own life story, where someone slowly convinces you that your memory is failing and your emotions are a problem. You remember a conversation clearly, but they look you in the eye and say it never happened. You explain how a comment hurt you, and they tell you that you're just being too sensitive or dramatic. This isn't just a disagreement, it's a systematic attempt to make you doubt what is real until you start believing their version of reality more than your own. This psychological warfare doesn't happen all at once. It's a slow burn that builds through one denial, one look, and one small moment at a time. Eventually, you find yourself second-guessing your gut, your memory, and your sanity in every relationship, whether it's at home or in the office. If someone can control your version of reality, they can control your actions, and that's why you have to start writing things down and trusting your feelings over their spin. Before we dive into the next dangerous tactic that feels like a dream but is actually a nightmare, I want to see who is tuning in today, so comment down below where you're watching from, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you want to stay protected from these traps. Love bombing is the manipulation technique that feels incredible right until the moment it destroys you. It starts with an overwhelming intensity where you are suddenly the center of someone's universe, receiving constant texts, gifts, and promises of forever on the very first date. It feels like a whirlwind romance, but it's actually a performance designed to sweep you away before you have a chance to breathe or think. You're being put on a pedestal, but the higher they lift you, the further you have to fall once they decide to change the rules. The moment you are hooked on that high of being adored, the manipulator pulls back and goes cold, leaving you wondering what you did wrong. You find yourself chasing a version of them that never actually existed, trying to win back the bait that was used to trap your heart. This is how emotional control is disguised as romance, and the only way to survive it is to slow down and look at their patterns instead of their promises. But as bad as being loved too much can be, there is a much quieter way people keep you in debt to them that starts with a single heavy sigh. Guilt tripping is one of the sneakiest ways to pull your strings because it often looks like someone just being hurt or disappointed. It's not about yelling, it's about that quiet, pointed comment about everything they've done for you that makes you feel selfish for ever saying no. It turns your natural kindness into a debt that you are constantly trying to repay, making you feel like you failed some invisible test of loyalty. Even when you are just setting a healthy boundary, the manipulator makes sure you feel like you're being cold or ungrateful for simply having your own needs. If you are an empathetic person, this tactic is your kryptonite because you'll find yourself apologizing for things you didn't even do just to stop the silence or the tension. The goal is simple. If they can't make you say yes through logic, they will make you feel so bad that you say yes just to escape the weight of the guilt. To beat it, you have to ask yourself if you've actually violated your own values or if you're just being punished for someone else's convenience. But while guilt keeps you trapped in a room with one person, there is another tactic that brings in an entire audience to turn against you. Triangulation happens when someone refuses to talk to you directly and instead pulls a third person into the mix to create a social triangle. You'll hear things like, "Everyone thinks you're overreacting," or "Sarah agrees with me," which makes you feel outnumbered and crazy. It's a strategy designed to make your voice feel small and your perspective feel invalid by building an invisible team against you. This isn't about solving a conflict, it's about winning a battle by making you the common denominator of everyone else's problems. This tactic is a staple in toxic families and messy breakups because it forces you to defend yourself against a narrative you didn't even know was being written. It's exhausting to fight a ghost, and it's even harder when you realize you're being dragged into a storyline where someone else is holding the pen. The only way to break the triangle is to demand direct communication and refuse to defend yourself to people who aren't in the room. Just when you think you've spotted the villain, however, you might find yourself being saved by someone who is actually the one lighting the matches. The White Knight looks like a hero on the surface, showing up with all the answers and solutions to the problems you're facing. It feels like finally someone is on your side, but in a toxic dynamic, the White Knight is often the one who secretly created the problem just so they could fix it. They stir up drama behind your back and then offer you comfort when you start to fall apart, making sure you stay broken just long enough to keep them relevant. Their real support helps you rise, but a White Knight needs you to stay dependent on their protection and their truth. If you start solving your own problems or setting boundaries, they will often turn cold or call you ungrateful for simply having your own needs. But if being helped feels suffocating, wait until you experience the absolute freezing power of the one weapon that uses no words at all. The silent treatment is a psychological punishment designed to make you feel invisible and unreachable until you finally break. It isn't about needing space, it's a power move that leaves you replaying every word you've said, wondering where you went wrong. Because the other person refuses to communicate, you become the one doing all the emotional labor, apologizing for things you didn't do just to end the unbearable quiet. It's a tool used to say that they control when the relationship is safe and when you are allowed to be seen. When you start tiptoeing around someone's silence, you have already lost your power in the relationship. You stop focusing on your own needs and start obsessing over how to get them to acknowledge your existence again, which is exactly where they want you. To break this cycle, you have to stop chasing the noise and let them sit in their own silence while you go about your life. But while some people withdraw entirely, others give you just enough hope to keep you starving for more, and that's a trap called breadcrumbing. Breadcrumbing is the art of giving you just enough attention to keep you hooked without actually committing to anything real. It's a random hey text or a heart on your photo that serves as emotional clickbait, making you think that maybe this time things will finally move forward. You stay stuck in a loop of anticipation and letdown, checking your phone at 2 a.m. for a sign of life from someone who has no intention of actually showing up. They aren't rejecting you, but they're not choosing you either. They're just stalling you to keep you as an option. This is how emotional control is disguised as romance, and the only way to survive it is to slow down and look at their patterns instead of their promises. But as bad as being loved too much can be, there is a much quieter way people keep you in debt to them that starts with a single heavy sigh. The DARVO method is the ultimate psychological sleight of hand used to turn the offender into the victim. It stands for deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender, and it happens the moment you try to hold someone accountable. When you bring up a legitimate hurt, they first deny it ever happened, then they attack your character or your tone, and finally they claim that they are the ones being bullied by your accusations. Suddenly, you're not the one who is hurt, you're the one who is apologizing for being cruel enough to bring it up. It's a performance of martyrdom that turns your honesty into an attack and makes you feel ashamed for even speaking your truth. You end up defending your tone instead of the original issue, and the person who actually caused the harm walks away feeling like the injured party. The only way to beat DARVO is to refuse to take the bait and stay focused on the facts, no matter how much they try to cry or deflect. If you've seen these patterns in your life, you now have the tools to name them, and once a manipulation tactic is named, its power over you begins to fade forever.